Network News. The Starcom Network is a division of the OCM Group. I am Kashi Browne. Good morning. Now, this gentleman in here, he's all over social media, and he's always been willing, whether people want to hear it or not, to share his views on lots of things, especially when it comes to economics. Let's say good morning to Jeremy Stevens. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, good morning, Kashi. How you doing? I'm good.
I'm pretty good. No, I mean, I always see you on my timeline, and it seems that you are the go-to person when we're talking about economics. Whether it was a cap that you wanted to wear yourself, or I mean, how did that come about? That you're just always sharing your thoughts.
Man, probably people who've been, well, good morning there, VOB land. Good morning to Starcom listeners and whatnot. And I just wanted to shout out the people in Barbados, people here who have committed themselves to helping those in the Bahamas. As I don't want to call myself a victim, but as someone who witnessed a Category 5 full on, I pretty much am warmed by the change in attitude, I would say, towards natural disasters. And ironically, it's that change that continues to make me feel, well, you know what, I have a service to continue giving to my society at large, right? And it was pretty much inspired, people have heard this before, if they've been following me long enough, but it's pretty much been inspired by my old lady, not my mother, but my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, who, when I finished my bachelor's and I was on my way to doing my master's at Imperial College in London, on a Commonwealth scholarship, she always said to me, you owe the people of this country, you never paid a cent for your education. You owe the people of this country your knowledge. And ironically, if you know me very personally, you probably saw how I moved at a certain bar sometime back. I like to move alone, I like to move quiet, right? I'm always alone. If you see me, I'm always alone. And this side of me is one that is driven more by that promise, mainly because before I could tell her, when I said yes, but before I could tell her, look, you know what, this ain't really something I'm interested in, she died. And she's probably the only person in my life that I've always been 100% honest with. Always. I've always felt that I had a blanket of security with her. So I honestly wanted to cut out, but it drove me. Also, her past drove me a lot too. She did not complete primary school. She did not, and I was the first of her immediate grandchildren to get a university education, right? And the first to have gone to Combermere. And there was a lot of firsts, and my little cousins, the likes of Kamal Howell, who works at Arawat Cement Plant, and Samantha Gittins, I think she's at Digicel now, and a wide array of others. My younger brother, Jade Stephen, a lot of them looked up to me as a pathway out of certain, not poverty, but definitely certain struggles. So that drove me, and I started to believe at some point that I feel as though I could help people, and that was really driven into me when I took my first trip to Singapore. And I noticed, because I don't know if you remember this, but definitely Errol Barrow and other political leaders wanted Barbados to be the Singapore of the West. And when I saw firsthand, as opposed to just reading it, but saw firsthand the development, some people question whether it's good or bad for them, I said to myself, you know what, we made too much sport, because if this country, yes, they've got natural advantages, being positioned near to China and all, but if that country could get so far ahead as an island just as big as Dominica with a population of around 5 million, yes, it's 10 times plus larger than ours, I felt we were wasting too much time, and I decided there and then at that airport, Changi Airport in Singapore, to write a manifesto, which if you care to, you can go back about 2-3 years and see my manifesto, which included, giving of my best for my country.
And not a political manifesto.
It's not political. I actually have no political ambitions. I don't know why people, you see, although we...
But I think it's because, because you're always sharing, and you find that that's what the politicians do. They say, okay, this is what I...
But they also go into the rum shops, they also line, they also muse. You'll be lucky if I talk to you in public and it's not a case of looking down on somebody, but I actually am scared of people. You wouldn't believe that I don't interact. That's why you would never see me in a fet. I don't, despite being a good speaker, you know, that comes down to a few psychological tricks that I taught myself at school, you know. The law of large numbers, if you're into math, it says, you know, if you view, well, this is a bastardization of it, if I could use that word, but if you view a large crowd as a crowd, you have a more difficult time swaying them or communicating with them. I view a large crowd as one person, and one of my speaking techniques is always that I pick 3 people as my targets. And I would always joke, not necessarily speak to them, I speak to the crowd as one, but when I want to feel a bit more relaxed with the situation or get a good read of the crowd, I always crack a joke about one of the 3. Okay. One of the 3, I always pick them out. They're always willing, they look at you a certain way, they're engaged, and that's how I cope. But otherwise, shoot, if you talk to me one-on-one, I don't make that much eye contact. I feel very uncomfortable talking. I mean, very uncomfortable. And people don't believe it. But it's like just another persona, and I treat it as a job, right? Yes, but this has nothing to do with politics. I'm more honesty driven intrinsically as opposed to having sway on people. You know, having that kind of sway. I'm doing what I feel I was born to do, which ironically is to teach. Now I've come to that place where I feel that's my role in today's world, and not necessarily to be some great political leader or to be a political leader or even to be a backbencher or even to be a senator. None of those things appeal to me, none.
No, you're teaching and you have that interpersonal relationship with these students and stuff like that there. Now, when you take it to another level, when you go social media, when you want to share it with more people, I mean, is that something that you feel compelled to continue doing, to just keep
No,
teaching on?
as bad as this might sound, no. I question myself nowadays every time I attempt to do it. I've slowed down my pace remarkably, and to certain listeners who are politically inclined, it's not because I am a goodwill ambassador, as per a certain song on that came out during the crop over.
You know when you make it in social commentary songs by certain people, you've made it.
It's unfortunate that the artist did not make it though, to the finals, but nonetheless, but nonetheless, you know, I felt as though I took certain people's advice, which was, you know, just give me a chance thing, and that people out there saying, and I would give the government a chance. But when I feel really stoked, as opposed to just doing something based on volume, when I feel really stoked to come and give a take, then I will. But I've cut back mainly because I felt as though, number one, I was overdoing it at one point. It wasn't that I was doing it to get rid of the former government or anything, but, you know, the issues are the same. How many times can I really say the same thing over and over? They say repetition is good. They say repetition, sorry to use this phrase, repetition shifts the Overton window, which is, you know, how people feel comfortable about certain controversial concepts over time. If you keep repeating it in your mind over and over and over, if media pushes it, then it shifts this window and people intrinsically and subconsciously become comfortable. So at this point, I just felt as if I kept on saying the same things over and over. If I find something new, if I find something that could help my people see another 7 to 8 to almost 20 years down the line, then by all means, you might see me pick back up my volume again. But until then, nah.
No, just take it easy on there.
Yeah, again, all right, let me put it this way. It's like a husband coming home from work all the time demanding food. Eventually, the wife will resent him. You know, I plan on cooking a little bit more in my household, if you want to put it that way.
Keep it on that level.
Yeah.
All right. Now, we see the way that things have been, and you say, give me a chance.
Yeah.
Give me a chance to it. So, are we moving in the right direction?
We're moving in a direction that's much better than where it was going. I think I would say this much. Even though, and I have my disagreements because at the end of the day, I'm a professional, I have a view. Just like how some doctors would tell you you need to work out, some doctors would tell you you need to change your diet, some doctors would put you on the pharmaceuticals. I have a view that can be tested and dispelled if need be, right? And I would say that this government has taken a bit more of a radical position. What I'm saying, however, is that in my view, it has gone back into the precipice of not looking at reality for what reality is. All right, and one would argue that the government has spoken extensively about growth of late, and that you need to put your house in order first and then go into growth. That's fine, but whereas, and this is where media becomes very important. Whereas you would spend an exorbitant amount of time, in my view, the government that is, spending time looking good as to fixing issues. Part of that media strategy has to be about training Barbadians to look the next 5 years down the line. So I'm seeing them sadly fall into a path of fighting fires only, and that's what seemingly is being communicated. After a while, people will become resentful for that because it will seem as though, yes, you're communicating more, but where are we going? And that has to be more so communicated. Now, I'm fair in saying that the government has economically communicated that. I need it to be bigger. I need it to be education. I need to hear big reforms in education. I need to hear other big reforms.
Are we looking for maybe like a 10-year plan, 20-year plan, 30-year plan?
It has to think that way, you know. And I mean, look, let's be realistic. And this, I will put a disclaimer out, is not a view that's associated with the goodly station of Starcom, or the Starcom network, right? But this government has the great potential, even if it does the most utter nonsense, of staying into 10 to 15 years, simply due to the mandate given to it last May, all right? Simply due to that, and due to the fact that the other parties, the smaller fringe parties, have not kept up a media appearance, and to me, they should have, and they should have pushed even harder, no. And furthermore, the DLP has to go through its path of resurgence. Maybe it should become a new DLP. I wouldn't comment so much on that. So it has a 10-year mandate, so therefore put out a 10-year plan. Let's start talking 10 years. It's not to say that I want you as a government to be arrogant, but I want you as a government to show people that there's these long-term plans that can't be fixed in 5 years. And sadly, you know, the communication out there feels as if this needs to be a quick fix. It doesn't have to be. It just has to be purposeful. And you have to keep on communicating, you know?
I think it just became a situation where you had things that you wanted to fix quickly.
Yeah. I'm not against that.
So then perhaps we'll see. Again, it's we will see in certain ways.
I want them to continue doing what they're doing, but again, keep on charting the long-term plan. It might sound blasé, it might sound as if I'm speaking in an ethereal manner, it might sound as if I'm being unrealistic, but these sentiments do mean something long-term, particularly if you start thinking about younger voters and how younger voters will vote going forward. You know, they're more mercenary, but that's as much politics as I know and care to talk about.
Mr. Stevens, as long as you stay on the sidelines, you forego the opportunity to shape and achieve the aspirations.
I always hear that argument.
I
always hear that argument.
You'll be nothing more than an activist. Very few activists have effective change. In these cases, they became themselves politicians.
Right, so he does like a double question, not even a double question, it ended up the same way. He's saying, or she's saying, or suggesting that I should join the sidelines. Or sorry, come from the sidelines and do something and be more than an activist, yet the activist becomes the politician themselves. Now, my cause is teaching. My cause is not going out there. I was never one to go and talk about, let's do a riot, let's do this.
Are you going to gas up the next level of, the next group of politicians then?
No, and in fact, you know what? The older I get, the less inclined I am to even help them. Look, that puts me in the path of anarchy.
They could be your students.
And that is all I care about. Honestly, I care about the next set of Bajans. Like, there's a group of Bajans right now, under the age of 25, investing in ways that have never been done before. And a good few of them passed through my hands at UE. And for me, that is how I plan on affecting change, you know.
Are the millennials ready for the challenge?
They have to be. They ain't got no choice. I mean, look, we're in to a phase, you might claim that you're not millennial, but I'll treat you as such. You might. Keyword being might. But it is a case, right, Kashi, that our futures, based on a lot of issues that happened over the last 20 years, are probably more uncertain than any other generation before, particularly since Social Security became a thing. So I always tell people that you gotta look out for your own interests. Don't expect, even if a government dances on it, tap dances on the issue, sounds pretty on the issue, do not expect that you will be able to earn a pension to sustain your livelihood, particularly if you do not make a high level of income. I also encourage people of our generation and younger, the Generation Zs, to take more risks. There's nothing literally to lose. I also encourage them to utilize this great equalizer called the internet a lot more. There are tons of jobs that allow you to work across the globe And there are people traveling, being geo entrepreneurs or mobile entrepreneurs, internet entrepreneurs that are doing some simple menial tasks that persons or companies down there in Fontebelle, the offshore companies, hire people to do. I encourage people to use their times wisely. The 24 hours you got in a day, do multiple jobs. If I can help inform that thinking even more, to me, I have served my life purpose, because what my grandmother made me promise her was to help share my knowledge with the people of Barbados, not to become an activist. I'm not trying to spit in the face of government. All I am is a citizen, and I think that citizens need to open their mouths and be heard, and not to be considered as activists, but rather just good citizenship. Nothing more.
I think once you speak a little too lowly, people see that as activism.
And then what happens over the next 40 years, Kashi? The same.
My thing is, we run out of time real quick.
Whoa, that's all right.
and we haven't even touched, because I mean, aside from the economics, you're into music as well.
Yeah.
You're doing production. You put out,
Quietly so, yeah. Quietly so, and will continue to do so. That's one of my passions and whatnot.
Is there a 10-year, 20-year plan for that?
No, man. Look, I support the creative industry. I am once again on the board of COSCAP. I am a self-taught musician. I can't read a note, but I play by ear, and it's a talent that I wish to explore a bit more, but I don't see it as a career. Now, what I plan on doing is, as part of my probably presence out there, using music, using media as a way to freshen my appeal. And if that helps me to further that core purpose that I see for myself, then by all means, I'll continue to do it.
For those people that want to follow Jeremy Stevens and see what's going on with Jeremy Stevens, how do you do that?
Listen to Starcom. But if you wish to be bombarded with a few jokes and definitely some information on global affairs, not just local stuff, I guess people who would be inclined to follow me would read a newspaper. You could just, add me as a friend on Facebook. But better yet, you could check me out on, for those who are so inclined to use it, Instagram. It'll be at Jeremy D. Stephen. My last name for Barbados Once and for All is Stephen. There's no S at the end.
Yeah, I've been guilty of that.
No, everybody's been guilty. But I mean, so that you don't go looking for the wrong person, because there's a MMA fighter with my name and I've never kicked butt in my life. So you can follow there, and honestly, those two channels. And also I'm putting up videos on YouTube, more economically inclined videos. Did one on Brazil and the differences in prices between Brazil, why Brazil seems cheaper than Barbados, but that doesn't really mean much. So you could, I think that's Jeremy Stephen again on YouTube, and I'll be putting up videos for sure.
All right, well, Jeremy, thanks for spending a little time with us this morning. I will make sure I try to pull you back in again, because we got a lot more things to discuss, but thanks for spending a little time with us today.
Cheers, man. Thank you for the opportunity.
All righty, now we got 4 minutes away from 9 o'clock. Yep, to 9 o'clock. Up next, Opportunity Calls.